She didn't whisper it. She didn't hint at it in interviews. She didn't hide behind "we're still developing" excuses. Caitlin Clark said it out loud on national television. No hesitation. No filter. She looked straight into the camera and drew a line in the sand. This isn't about growth anymore. This isn't about potential. This is about dominance. A championship or nothing. And in that moment, everything changed. Because what followed wasn't talk. It wasn't patience. It wasn't wait and see. It was execution. Behind the scenes, Kelly Krauskopf, Amber Cox, and Stephanie White didn't respond with promises. They responded with action. The moment free agency opened, everything shifted. Most teams hesitate. They evaluate. They negotiate. They wait. Not Indiana. The Indiana Fever didn't enter free agency like participants. They moved like a team already ahead of the timeline. For moves. For answers. Zero hesitation. Every signing was calculated. Every weakness targeted. Every decision engineered for one thing: winning it all. Now the real question isn't whether Indiana believes they can contend. It's whether the rest of the league just realize they're already behind. Quiz moment engagement hook. Let's test you. How many major signings happened on day one? A, 1B, 2C, 3D, for pressure. Drama. Stakes at their peak. Because this wasn't just roster building. This was a takeover. The move that changed everything. Before the headlines. Before the hype. Before the new faces. Indiana handled their most important decision. Kelsey Mitchell. No debates. No delays. A 1-year Supermax deal. $249,244. Historic. Franchise-defining. She became the highest-paid player in Fever history and one of the first players in the league to secure a Supermax under the new system, alongside stars like Aliyah Wilson. But here's what most people don't understand. This wasn't just a contract. This was a statement. Loyalty that built the foundation. Mitchell stayed. Through a 5-win season in 2022. Through instability. Through 4 head coaches in 7 years. Most players would have left. Many would have demanded trades. She didn't. She stayed. And now, she's not just rewarded, she's essential. Because without Mitchell, the entire offensive system collapses. The deadliest backcourt in the WNBA, Mitchell isn't just a scorer. She's the engine. When she attacks the rim, defenses collapse. And that's when Clark becomes lethal. If defenders help on Mitchell, Clark gets open threes. If they chase Clark, Mitchell gets a clear lane. Pick your poison. Either way, you lose. That's not chemistry. That's chaos for opposing defenses. Why the 1-year deal is genius. This is where it gets strategic. That 1-year deal?
It's not just about now.
It protects the future. Because both Clark and Aliyah Boston are heading toward max-level contracts soon. Indiana didn't just secure their present. They protected their dynasty window. Mitchell betting on herself, while chasing a championship, tells you everything. This isn't about money anymore. It's about a ring. Indiana just became a destination. Here's the part that shocked the league. Indiana isn't chasing free agents anymore. Free agents are chasing Indiana. Let that sink in. A franchise that once struggled to attract talent is now being called a destination. And they didn't just say it. They proved it. The silent roster takeover. Now comes the part most people overlooked. This wasn't about star power. This was about fit.
System.
Precision. Players like Monique Billings aren't just additions, they're solutions. Last season exposed a problem. The gap at the forward position. Effort wasn't the issue. Fit was. Indiana plays fast. Relentless pace. Constant motion. And that requires a different kind of player. Why Billings changes everything. Billings fits the system perfectly. She runs the floor. Finishes through contact. Defends in space. No wasted motion. No slowing the offense. She creates vertical spacing, which opens everything. Driving lanes for Clark. Shooting opportunities for Mitchell. Freedom for Boston inside. This is how modern basketball works. Not isolation. Integration. Defense. The missing piece. Offense wasn't Indiana's biggest issue. Defense was. And this is where things get dangerous. With Boston anchoring the paint, they needed mobility around her. Switching, recovering, contesting. Billings provides exactly that. Now suddenly, Indiana isn't just exciting. They're balanced. The real secret, chemistry talent alone doesn't win championships. Chemistry does. And Indiana is building something deeper, understanding, timing, trust. Players who already know how to play together. Less mistakes. Faster execution. Better results. That's how contenders are built. The league should be worried teams like the New York Liberty and the Golden State Valkyries offer markets. They offer visibility. They offer depth. But Indiana? They offer something else. Opportunity. A defined role. A rising system. A team built around generational talent. And in today's game, fit beats everything. The final reality, this isn't just an off-season. This is a transformation. Indiana didn't just add players. They removed weaknesses. They didn't just build a roster. They built an identity. And now, the biggest question in the WNBA isn't, can Indiana compete? It's this, who's ready to stop them? And then there was the move that didn't feel like a move at all. No press conference. No breaking headline. No dramatic announcement. Just a leak. A quiet, almost accidental moment that only the sharpest eyes caught in real time. Because while the league was busy tracking the obvious names, Indiana was already solving problems nobody else was paying attention to. The leak that wasn't supposed to be a leak Tierra McCowan, no. This wasn't about a superstar headline. This was about something smarter. Something deeper. Tyasha Harris didn't get the spotlight treatment. Her arrival wasn't announced. It was discovered. A workout video. Posted casually. But not casually enough. Amber Cox and assistant coach Austin Kelly shared it with a caption, feeling feverish. That was it. No explanation. No context. But anyone who understands how this league works, they knew instantly. You don't bring in a player like Harris. You don't have your GM courtside watching. You don't post it publicly. Unless the deal is already done. The announcement came before the announcement. And the internet caught it in real time. Why this quiet signing was actually loud because beneath the creativity, beneath the subtlety, this move solved one of Indiana's biggest hidden problems. A problem that nearly derailed them last season. The bench. More specifically, the backup guard position. The problem that kept Indiana up at night last season exposed it brutally. When Caitlin Clark sat down, everything slowed. The pace dropped. The movement stalled. The offense disappeared. And in playoff-level basketball, that's fatal. To make it worse, Sydney Colson went down with an ACL injury. Out for 2026. Which meant Indiana wasn't just weak at backup guard. They were exposed. Why Tyasha Harris changes everything. Harris isn't flashy.
She's not built for headlines.
She's built for control. She's the kind of player contenders rely on, and casual fans overlook. She spent time with the Connecticut Sun, one of the most disciplined, defensively elite systems in the league. She understands structure. She understands pace. She understands winning basketball. And statistically, nearly 40% from three. Strong perimeter defense. Elite decision-making under pressure. But here's the real difference. She doesn't panic. The system fit is perfect under Stephanie White. Indiana runs on speed and decisions. Quick reads. Fast movement. Relentless pressure. Harris fits that perfectly. She runs pick and roll efficiently. Hits corner threes without hesitation. Keeps the offense alive instead of resetting it. She doesn't need to dominate the ball. She keeps it moving. And that's exactly what Indiana was missing. Why this makes Indiana dangerous? Now imagine this. Clark sits. And instead of collapse, the system continues.
Seamlessly.
No panic. No drop-off. No wasted possessions. That changes everything. Because now, opponents can't wait out Clark anymore. There is no safe moment. No weak window. No breathing room. And then there's the personal factor. Harris isn't just joining a team. She's coming home. That matters more than people think. Because players who feel connected play differently. Harder. Smarter. with purpose. This isn't just a contract. It's commitment. The bench is no longer a liability last season. Indiana's bench was something you hid.
Now,
It's something you trust. In crunch time, in playoff minutes, under pressure. That's a transformation most teams never achieve. The veteran piece nobody's talking about then comes the quiet reinforcement. Damiris Dantas. No headlines, no hype, just experience. A veteran who understands spacing, preparation, playoff intensity. Yes, there are questions about consistency, but at a minimum contract, there's no risk, only upside. If she delivers, she's a weapon. If she doesn't, Indiana loses nothing. That's smart roster construction. The bigger strategy is revealed. This isn't random. This is calculated. Indiana isn't just chasing stars. They're building a system. Every piece has a purpose. Every signing fills a gap. No wasted moves. No emotional decisions. Just precision. And now, it gets scary because the front office isn't done. Not even close. The confirmed moves fix the foundation. But the names still circling? They could change everything. The final question, now, everything slows down. No more leaks. No more announcements. Just silence. The kind of silence that builds pressure. Because now, the expectations are real. Caitlin Clark already said it. Championship or nothing. And the front office responded.
fast.
Aggressive. Precise. But here's the truth nobody can avoid. Moves don't win titles. Execution does. What happens next defines everything this roster. It's no longer potential. It's reality. And reality gets tested. In April, when pressure starts. In July, when fatigue hits. In the playoffs, when everything slows down. That's where teams are exposed. Not by talent, but by imbalance. The final line, so now we wait. Not for another signing. Not for another headline. But for the answer. When the moment comes. When the stakes rise. When belief isn't enough anymore. Will this version of the Indiana Fever hold? Or will this be remembered as the moment when expectations became heavier than the team itself? And just when it felt like Indiana had already done enough, the story didn't slow down.
It sharpened.
Because what looked like a completed roster was actually just the foundation. The part nobody is talking about. Everyone saw the big moves. Everyone talked about the headlines. But championships? They're not built in headlines. They're built in details. And Indiana started attacking those details one by one. Quietly. Precisely. Relentlessly. The real strategy behind everything. This isn't random roster building. This is architecture. Every piece around Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston is being selected with one question in mind. Does this player make our stars harder to stop? Not better individually. More dangerous collectively. That's the difference between a good team and a championship system. The rotation problem, now solved last season. Indiana had a pattern. A dangerous one. The starters would build momentum. And the bench would lose it. Games that should have been controlled turned into battles. Leads disappeared. Rhythm vanished. Confidence shook. Opponents noticed. And they exploited it. Every single
time.
Now look at the difference. With Tyasha Harris running the second unit. That weakness? It's gone. Not reduced.
Gone.
Because now when Clark sits, the system doesn't collapse. It continues.
Smoothly.
Efficiently. Relentlessly. Why this changes playoff basketball in the regular season. Talent can carry you. In the playoffs, structure wins. And structure requires consistency. Possession after possession. Minute after minute. Now Indiana has something they didn't have before. Stability. A second unit that doesn't just survive, but sustains pressure. That's rare.
And it's dangerous.
The hidden impact on Caitlin Clark. This might be the biggest shift of all. For the first time, Caitlin Clark doesn't have to do everything. She doesn't have to force plays. She doesn't have to carry every possession. She can rest without worrying about what's happening on the floor. That changes how she plays. More freedom, more efficiency, more explosiveness. And that's terrifying for the rest of the league. When great players get help, the league shifts. History shows this again and again. Great players don't dominate alone. They dominate when the system supports them. Indiana is building that system in real time, and it's happening faster than anyone expected. Defense, the final piece of the puzzle. Let's talk about something that doesn't trend: defense. Because last season, that's where Indiana struggled the most. Not effort, not energy. Structure. Rotations were late. Help defense broke down. Transition defense was inconsistent. And in close games, that cost them. Now, everything is different with players like Harris, with better frontcourt mobility. With improved communication, Indiana's defense isn't just improving. It's evolving. Now they can switch more effectively, recover faster, contests smarter, and most importantly, close games. The culture shift is real, but here's what makes this even bigger. This isn't just about talent. It's about culture. A few seasons ago, Indiana wasn't a destination. Players didn't circle it on the calendar.
Now,
They're calling. They want in. Because something is building here. Something real. Something that feels inevitable. The rest of the league is watching teams like the Las Vegas Aces, the New York Liberty, and rising contenders across the league. They see it. They feel it. And whether they admit it or not, they're adjusting. Because Indiana isn't coming. They're already here. But there's a catch, and this is where the story gets complicated. Because building fast comes with pressure. Expectations rise. Mistakes get magnified. Every loss feels heavier. Every weakness gets exposed. The window is real, and it's limited. This isn't a long-term rebuild anymore. This is a championship window. And windows? They don't stay open forever. Contracts change. Salaries rise. Decisions get harder. What Indiana is building has to work now, not eventually.
now.
The pressure is coming. Training camp will bring questions. The season will bring challenges. And the playoffs? They'll bring truth. Because that's where everything gets tested. Not in theory. In reality. The final build-up, every pass, every rotation, every decision. It all leads to one moment, one stretch, one opportunity. And when that moment comes, there's no hiding. The question that defines everything. So now the stage is set. The roster is built. The expectations are clear. Caitlin Clark has already said it. Championship or nothing. And now the entire league is watching, waiting for the answer. Will the Indiana Fever rise to meet the moment? Or will this be remembered as the season where everything looked perfect until it was tested? The silence didn't last long, but what followed wasn't noise. It was tension, the kind that builds slowly, quietly, until it becomes impossible to ignore. Around the Indiana Fever, everything started to feel different. Not louder, not flashier, just heavier. Because now there are expectations attached to every move, every possession, every decision. This is no longer a team chasing relevance. This is a team being measured against a standard it set for itself. At the center of it all is Caitlin Clark, and what makes this moment so unique is that she didn't wait for the league to crown her. She accelerated the timeline. Most stars grow into pressure over years. Clark invited it immediately. Championship or nothing wasn't just a statement. It was a demand placed on everyone around her. Teammates, coaches, front office. And now that the roster has been reshaped, that demand has turned into accountability. But accountability cuts both ways. Because while Clark raises the ceiling, it also raises the cost of failure. Every missed rotation, every late game turnover, every cold shooting stretch, it all matters more now. That's the hidden weight of building a contender this fast. There's no time to hide behind development anymore. No patience for inconsistency. The margin for error shrinks, and the spotlight gets sharper. That's where players like Kelsey Mitchell become even more critical. Her role isn't just scoring, it's stabilizing chaos. When games tighten, when defenses adjust, when Clark gets blitzed at half court, it's Mitchell who is to punish those decisions instantly. Her ability to create her own shot, attack gaps, and keep defenses honest is what prevents Indiana's offense from becoming predictable. Without that balance, even the most explosive system can stall.